So, just a reminder that 100% of the people that you meet, new people that you meet, have no idea what your story is. They have no idea what you're about to tell them or who you're about to show up as. And whatever you give them to teach them about you, they'll accept at face value. You could show up to a new conversation being the most delusionally confident woman, even if you're not. And somebody who's never met you is just going to accept that.
I guess that's where we are. I guess we've reached the point where women telling each other to be fake, to lie about who they are, somehow qualifies as self-help advice, female empowerment. Did you know that there is a reason why women might give each other this advice, but men would never? It's because for men, consistency is a value. But for women, it's adaptability. You might hear a man proudly say, I am the same person in every environment. I am true to my identity. I don't change who I am based on who I'm interacting with. I will always be me. I am a man. But you might hear a woman say, I can proudly fit into any environment. Doesn't matter who I'm talking to, I can get along with anybody. I'm really good at being whoever I need to be. I am a woman. Do you appreciate how big a difference that is? Men and women's brains are wired so differently. We have different values, different priorities. A man prides himself on being a rock, solid, reliable, predictable, consistent. But a woman, she views those same characteristics in a negative light. To her, that's stubborn, that's selfish, that's pig-headed, it's closed-minded, it's uncompromising. A woman doesn't want to be a rock, she wants to be water. Cool, flowing, completely adaptable. That is what all of her feminine instincts are telling her to do.
Strong women are weak, very weak. Because they are clay. When clay has been hardened, it breaks easily. It's brittle, everything rattles at you. You have to be very gentle with it. When it falls to the floor, you can't put the pieces together. But soft women are like Play-Doh. They're pliable, they move, you can work with them easily. They know how to set their boundaries. They know when to say no, they know when to say yes. They don't gossip, they don't hold on to anger or bitterness. You know why? Because they know their highest currency is their heart. They know in order for me to remain incredible, I have to keep my heart soft. Be a soft woman. A soft woman is the strong woman. She's not easily broken. Be soft, not strong. Strong women are weak.
In its positive expression, this kind of femininity is beautiful. A woman who is kind, flexible, doesn't make a fuss. She doesn't create drama. She just wants everything to run smoothly. She wants everyone to have a good time. For a woman like that, she has a strong identity, a clear sense of herself. She's so confident in knowing who she is that she doesn't mind being flexible. That doesn't threaten her identity. She's happy to make accommodations so long as everybody is happy. But what about a woman who has no true identity, who doesn't know who she is? She changes her personality constantly. She doesn't really have any real ideas of her own. You understand, that's not flexibility, that's fake. It's not femininity, it's fraud. A lot of people think that narcissism is somebody who has too big of an ego, but it's actually the opposite. It's an ego that is not strong enough to actually maintain a clear sense of yourself. That's why narcissists are so selfish, so exploitative and manipulative. It's because they rely on other people for their identity, and therefore they need to control those people. Intrinsically, they don't know who they are. They are dependent upon the social feedback of other people to give them their imitation self-esteem. Regrettably, this describes far too many modern women. It's increasingly common for modern women to be displaying these traits of narcissism, and social media is just a killer in this regard. For modern women, social media is like candy for a sugar-addicted child. Look at this. See how it is for a woman who lives through the opinions of other people on social media. The filters, the Photoshop, the makeup. For modern women who want to live through other people's opinions, all of this is just a dream come true. Everyone will see how amazing and glamorous my life is, how beautiful I am. They'll think that my life is amazing and that I'm special. All of that envy, that praise, that jealousy, that feeds me. It doesn't give self-esteem because it doesn't come from the self, but it gives positive social feedback. And for a lot of women, that's all they know, so they're happy to settle for that. The concept of a true identity and intrinsic self-worth is completely foreign to them. They don't even understand what that would mean. They completely live for the approval of other people. It's others that give them their identity, and social media makes it easy and it speeds up that process.
I analyzed like the things that I had been posting, the presence that I had on social media. And at the time, I was posting like 7 stories a day of myself. I was so deep in it, and I had taken 3 days off of social media, not posting one story, not posting one photo of myself, absolutely zero attention. And this is coming from someone who I'm like, I pride myself on the fact that like, I don't need male attention. I don't need attention from it. I felt lonely.
Yeah.
Not getting that attention. I can't even believe it. I was not even aware. And I know this might sound so silly to some people, but when you're so deep in it, you have no idea the effect that it's having. Even just the little like hearts on social media, that's like a dopamine hit. That was a moment where I was like, I have to change some things.
I mean, props to her for realizing that she made a mistake and she's trying to correct it. She's showing the courage necessary to actually create an ego of her own. But what's actually going on here? Why are so many women vulnerable to this? Why don't they have a clear identity, a strong, healthy ego? Why are they constantly looking for validation and identity from other people? I'm going to explain all of that in a moment, but first I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Bathmate. Bathmate have been a sponsor of this channel for a number of months now, and it's gotten to the point where I'm starting to get feedback from my audience about Bathmate products that they've tried. It has been overwhelmingly positive. I had a private consultation just last week where a guy said that using one of these pumps fixed his erectile dysfunction issues instantly. I'm not promising that, but that's what he told me. For guys who don't want to use pharmaceuticals, Bathmate products are the safe, natural alternative. It's easy to use. It's a hydro pump. You use it in the shower with water so that the pressure is evenly distributed. You pump to give yourself a rock hard erection. And for guys who've been dealing with erectile dysfunction, just seeing yourself really hard, that's a massive confidence booster. And it's good exercise for your dick. It's good for the health of the blood vessels in your cock to have blood flowing in and out. It's like going to the gym. You got to give yourself a workout. Bathmate products are FDA inspected. They're manufactured in the UK, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews. And these guys really stand behind their product. They offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. There's really no risk. Try it. If you don't like it, you can return it. If you're interested, give it a shot. Click on the link down below and you get an automatic 10% discount. Okay, back to why some women do not have a clear identity and are always looking for validation from others. So the question is, where are you meant to get your identity from? Well, initially it comes from your parents. When you're a baby or a toddler or a small child, you do form that sense of yourself based on your interactions with your mum and dad. That's normal. That's natural. That's how it's meant to occur. We're not meant to stick babies in a cave and just leave them alone. When a little baby girl has a mum and a dad who love her, who constantly give her attention, by their actions, they are showing her that she's lovable, that she's deserving of all that care and attention. And that's what forms her identity. She grows up with a self-esteem that says, I'm a worthwhile person. Conversely, if she grows up with parents who are neglectful or abusive, then their actions have given her the social feedback that she's not worthy of love, that she doesn't deserve care and attention. And so she grows up with self-hatred, insecurities, low self-esteem. There's no real mystery to this. It's obvious how this stuff occurs. Now, undoubtedly, there some are innate characteristics that are just like in your DNA, that are just biological, that will obviously form part of your identity. But a huge part of this comes from the social feedback that you got as part of your upbringing. But here is where it gets really interesting, because at puberty, boys and girls diverge. Every boy knows that in order to form his identity as a man, he needs to distance himself from the feminine, which means his mother. He needs to carve out his own masculine path, seek freedom, seek independence. In one of my hero circles a few weeks ago, we had a long discussion about this. And all of the guys in the group could relate to each other, talking about that period in their life when they knew that they had to separate from their mum. The individual details were different, but they all went through that same rite of passage. They could really relate to each other. It was great to talk about it. The hero circles are online men's discussion groups that I run. There are details down below if you want to join. But while boys understand this, they can relate to this need to seek independence, to separate from the feminine. Young girls don't go through that. It's not the same. They don't have that same internal sense of pressure telling them they need to become independent. If anything, at puberty, the instincts go in the opposite direction and they become hyper aware of social feedback. For many girls, the teenage years are like the most codependent period of their entire lives. That's why teenage girl friendships are so crazy intense. It's because their friends sort of hold the power of their identity in their hands. The degree to which they are enmeshed with each other is frankly terrifying to me as a man watching from the sidelines, like how far these girls will go to experiment with how much they can trust their friends. And the negative side is just awful. All the gossip, the secrets, best friends, then you're fighting, and then there's the silent treatment and social exclusion. I mean, it might seem silly to us from the sidelines, but I promise you, for the girls who are in the midst of that, it is very, very real. They are gambling with their identity in a way that a boy can't really understand. Now, eventually, that intensity begins to fade as she transitions from teenager to adult woman, and slowly her true identity does begin to form. She creates values, she forms opinions, she develops preferences, and most importantly, she begins to assume responsibilities. It is the assumption of responsibilities that is the strongest bedrock of an identity. And so what happened with this modern generation of women who don't seem to have a true identity? Well, it's no mystery. It's because there's no responsibilities.
We've created a generation of narcissistic women. And what's happened is the rise of social media and the rise of online dating and the rise of feminism has taught women that they are not to blame for any poor choices. Every poor choice is glamorized. So if you want to be a sex worker, it's great. If you want to post in bikini pictures online, it's fine. If you want to be with it, every poor choice is glamorized, and every internal reflection is seen as gaslighting yourself. So they've even got terms for internal reflection to prevent it happening. And so what will happen is they are trained to not reflect on themselves because we've been told we've been oppressed for so many years. Now it's time to make sure we project. And so we don't take any accountability. And as a result, when we get into relationships, if we don't feel completely soothed all the time, he must be a narcissist. He must be a manipulator. He must be gaslighting. He, rather than I.
I mean, that's it. Without responsibilities or duties, obligations, challenges, struggle, without those things, it's difficult to form an identity. You grow the strength of your ego, your healthy sense of self, by seeing yourself overcome challenges, overcome struggles. But by treating every single woman as though she's a queen, validating every feeling she has of victimhood, refusing to hold her to any standards, by doing these things, we have let women down. We have cheated them from the opportunity of growing and developing a true sense of their own identity. No wonder they're so lost in the social media hellscape. They're just desperately looking for something, but they're not going to find it in crazy online fake land. They need to be grounded in the real world. All you fathers out there who are listening to me at the moment, please tell me you're doing a better job with your daughters. Yes, she's sweet. Yes, she's your little princess, but please, just because she's a girl does not mean that she should not have responsibilities. Back in the day, the choices of identity for women was very limited. It's like you can be a wife, you can be a mother, that's it. And that sucks. There's not many choices. But at least back then, the sense of identity felt by women was very strong. She was valued for her contribution and she took her feminine duties very seriously. She had a sense of pride, a sense of self in what she did. Now you've got women in lots of different environments: work, study, home, social group, family, social media. And when a woman is navigating so many different environments, it's difficult for her sense of self to be strong enough to resist the pressure to just flow, to just conform, to empty herself so that she can fit in and be a chameleon in whatever environment she happens to find herself in.
Women are highly adaptable. So it's like we're chameleons. We will adapt to our environment, and this has served us. But the problem is that sometimes we get lost and we forget who we really are. What do I want? Have I become someone else? Did I become what my clients and students want? Did I become what my husband wanted? Hold on. I think of it as like, where's me now? Where am I? Take your temperature, take your pulse, because it's so easy to adapt. It's encoded in our DNA.
This is why it is so important, if you want to find out who she truly is, what her real identity is, or even if she actually has an identity, you need to watch her in a variety of environments so that you can find out whether or not she changes. Go to her work events, see how she interacts with her colleagues, visit her family, visit her friends, take her to see your family and friends. Find out if there is a true self, a real identity that's consistent in these environments, or if she's just completely empty empty. Because the danger is that if she's constantly adapting and she has no real identity, then how do you know that she's not just faking who she is when she's with you? She's just being who she thinks you want her to be. If you're a high quality guy who would make a very desirable partner, then she has a huge incentive to fake her true identity. You're a prize and she wants to win you. She'll happily play out your fantasies so that you fall for her and marry her. But guess what? In my private consultations, I've heard from hundreds of guys the exact same story, which is after the wedding, after the first child comes along, her true identity emerges and she's completely different to what she presented herself to be in the dating phase. Men in that situation, you have my sympathy, but if you haven't made this mistake yet and you're subscribed to this channel, then there's no excuse for you to make those same mistakes. You should be figuring this stuff out first. And if you want to find out her real identity, to find out if she's a true chameleon, then the biggest test that you can give her is to observe how she responds to your identity, to your true sense of self. That is going to give you a clear answer, 100%. How do you give her that test? What are you looking out for? Well, I go into that in the full-length version of this video, which is available on my Patreon. If you want to keep this conversation going, you want to go into a bit more depth, then please come over to Patreon. When I post here on YouTube, these are just shortened, abridged versions of my videos. The full-length versions are available on Patreon.